If you were no longer affected by the judgment of others and you stopped judging yourself, would you make different choices? Why make choices in your life based on judgments instead of on your awareness of what would create the life and living you desire? Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices Radio Show, Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm.
Welcome, everyone. Woohoo! It is Wednesday, and I am your host, Christine McIver, your resident weirdo, and I am so thrilled to have you here with us tonight. Tonight is part 2 of Business for Creatives, Weirdos, and Humanoids. I love talking about business, and after this past week of what the adventure I have been on, I have so many more tools to be sharing with creating my business and sharing with my clients and all of the listeners on the radio to see what else we can be doing and creating in business. It has been a fantastic, fantastic week, and it just keeps getting better, so I'm so thrilled. Thank you for joining me tonight, whether you're listening today, which is April the 15th, 2015, or in the future. What contribution can this show be to you and your business? And what contribution can this show be to your body? And we're going to find out tonight. So before we get into the show and get to the specifics of around what it means to be a queerdo, a creative weirdo and humanoid, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a possibilities coach, and I work with clients to co-create the businesses, the living, and the loving that they desire with all the possibilities available in the universe. I am an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator, Bars Facilitator, Possibilities Coach, Energy Healer, radio show host and producer. I build websites. I've done human resources for 20 years. I like to do a lot. I enjoy doing different things. And in creating differently, I get to enjoy my business in so many different ways. Are you willing to be different in your business to create more than you've ever imagined? My programs help individuals to bring more of their possibilities to actualization. If you're ready to claim what you desire, connect with me. You can do so at Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, I do charge for my services, but the first 5 minutes are always free. So why not give me a call and see what else you can be creating in your life and your business? So, Business for Creatives, Weirdos, and Humanoids. Are you definitely different? Do you have a million ideas a day like I do and don't know where to begin? Or maybe sometimes you're feeling completely overloaded? Have you concluded that because you don't have just one idea that you must be incredibly confused or really suck at business? If you're creative, confused, brilliant, and unfocused, have you decided what that means or doesn't mean? What if all of that means that you're FAN-FREAKING-TASTIC? I'm here to tell you that you are FAN-FREAKING-TASTIC. And it's the creatives in the world who have created all of the new things, the artists, the people that have come up with different amazing programs, apps on phones, people that have the architect of the world, people who have ideas going all of the time, the people that are creating the books, and the music, and the dance numbers, the people that create new ways that we can travel in the world. These are the people that make the difference in the world. So if you are anything like I've described, please listen a little more closely, because there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. In fact, you're a huge contribution we're looking for in the world. Now, I am inviting you into the chat room. If you are listening, you can come to a2zen.fm/chat room and come in there and ask questions and play with me. I love having the people in the chat room create with me during the show. You can also call in, or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. So I would love to take your questions. This is actually part 2. Part 1 we did March the 18th, I believe, and that was such a generative, fun show. And I got that people were like, oh, we want more, we want more. So right now we are going to get more deeply into this and truly see what else we can create. So if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat room, and I will do my best to see where we can go with this. So some of the things that we went over, I'm just going to highlight on it. If you have any questions about that, we can go back over. Some of the things that we were talking about in the first show in being a creative is let's talk about the ideas, first of all, where we get so many different ideas. Like Carol says, we're inventors, we're innovators. Absolutely. We get so many ideas, and we start to conclude that we're scattered. And we feel like we're overloaded or we're overwhelmed with all of these ideas. Well, what if we didn't go into conclusion about that, or we didn't go into judgment about that, and we started going into the questions about that? And so I had the pleasure today of being on Sue Tribolini's show, The Invisible Dimension, and it was about creating questions. And that show, I really enjoyed doing that show with Sue. Sue's actually joining us in the chat room tonight. Thank you, Sue. I really enjoyed doing that show with Sue because it actually started to really speak to me as well. Whenever I am doing my radio show, and if you're somebody that's actually thought about doing a radio show, when I'm doing my radio show, I'm actually creating it in the moment with all of the molecules in the universe. I don't come up with all of the things that I'm going to say. When I first started to do radio, I thought I needed to come up with all of it because I wouldn't have enough to say. Well, if you've ever listened to any of my shows or had a conversation with me that lasted more than 10 minutes, you know that I don't usually have a challenge with words. So they usually come out pretty easily. Well, when I'm on the show, it's so amazing how much my radio show contributes to me, how much my business contributes to me, and the universe. So everything is contributing to the creation of this show, and it just starts to fly out of me. And I've spoken to many of our other radio show hosts, and they're absolutely amazed that once they get going on their show, that the same thing they've been experiencing the same thing. So what if you were looking at your creations in the same type of energy, where you're not trying, quote unquote, figure it all out, but you're going to the questions around it. So when we are receiving all of these ideas don't necessarily mean that you're going to create, let's say you get 10 ideas in a week. All those 10 ideas may not be ready to be birthed. They don't all take the exact amount of time. It's like, if you're actually a woman who gets pregnant, generally it's 9 months. Well, sometimes our creations can take mere minutes to put together, and sometimes our creations percolate over time. But when we are going into the conclusion around what it means if we create it too fast, like some people say when they create too fast, oh, I must have missed something. Wait a minute. There's no question in that, is there? And sometimes when we create it very slowly over time, where the energy builds and builds and builds, we go into conclusion, well, that's never going to happen. One of the quick little tools that I really encourage people to do is to have either an app on your phone or a book that you have nearby where when an idea pops, you just quickly write it down. If the idea comes into your mind and you don't actually write it down or put it in your app, it can go so fast and it can be gone. And then you spend so much energy trying to figure out that amazing idea that you've completely forgot, which ends up driving you completely insane. And while you're trying to figure that out, you can actually be missing other ideas that are trying to be contributed to you by the universe. So I want to come back to the whole idea about questions. A couple of the things that I do that we were talking about is creating in 10-second increments, 10-minute increments, 20-minute increments. When you're getting all of these different ideas and you start to create, a lot of people will judge themselves because as a creative, as a weirdo, as a humanoid, we're like a bouncing ball. We're all over the place. If you were to be sitting here watching me when I'm working, right now I have about 8 websites opened, and I've got several pieces of paper around me. I have 2 computers open, and even though I'm doing my show live, there's ideas that are popping in my head. Well, it's actually what we call generative energy. And the more that we are doing, it actually helps to speed us up. Now, we had a show just earlier tonight. It was really fun. And it was about this going faster and about speed. That was with Cara Wright on Magic in Motion. And it is so important for people, creatives, to understand that when they slow down, they actually slow down the energy of the creation. We want to get into generative energy so that we can create things at the speed at which it is required to be created. So many people say, okay, I need to clean my entire desk. I need to have everything completely organized. I need to just have one piece of paper. It needs to be blank. And I need to turn off all the noise around me, and I need to focus. Okay, first of all, there's no question in that. There's massive conclusions of the way you have to do it. What if you don't work that way? There are days when I am working where it's like, okay, I need to clean this desk. I need to have some space so that I can work. And there are other days that, like today, where I've got stuff all over there. I've got some stuff on the floor. I've got some stuff behind me, and the creative juices are just coming. What if we didn't go into conclusion on how we have to create? Now, Melissa is in the chat room, and she said, I just had one the other day that I put in my app and had totally forgotten about it until I went to put something else in there. I love that I have ideas ready to rock and roll. Isn't that phenomenal, Melissa? I do that all of the time with my radio shows. I get radio show ideas when I'm driving, when I'm talking to clients, when I am reading books, when I am in classes. I mean, they are popping all of the time. I love it. But guess what? I know that it can be easy and fun. I'm not going into the shoulds or concluding that this is hard. We actually create everything in our lives with the words that we are using. So I'm just popping all over in my head right now because I've got so much that I want to share with you. So we're going to go for a break in just a couple of minutes. But before we do, one of the very first things that I want to talk about tonight and want to really get you into the energy of the possibility of is actually speaking to your business. Now, what if you had an idea for a business and you haven't shared it with anybody, you haven't even really tried to acknowledge it to you? If that idea has actually popped into your head, there is a possibility through your choices that it can be created. One of the things that is required is for all of us, each of us, to give our creative ideas energy. It's kind of like feeding the baby. The baby can't grow if you don't give it energy. So one of the ways of giving it energy, first of all, is write it down. Acknowledge it. You don't have to make it a big deal. You don't have to, put it out there to the entire universe. You might want to tell it to a friend. I love talking to, a girlfriend, one or two of my girlfriends, and say, oh my God, I just had this great idea. And I get so excited. That feeds that creative energy. I love sharing those ideas with close friends. And then I make it infinite. When you make it infinite, then nobody else will pick up on it. Speaking to your business and your business creative ideas is actually a way to allow it to begin to be birthed. So what ideas are you refusing to receive by your unacknowledgement with the capacity of your awareness? And everything that has you buying into the lie that you are not amazing at creating ideas, creating projects, and creating businesses, would you please destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pock, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay, we're going to go for our first break, and when we come back, we're going to get a little bit more into how you can be creating, talking, and working with your ideas and your businesses. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
Being visible, being social, being heard. What desires are you ready to create? Would you like to take the next step to creating a potent presence on the web? Would it create more possibilities and expansion in your life? BeingVisible.ca offers website, social media, radio show creation, and more. Creating with consciousness, bringing the energy of you to your audience. Are you ready to connect with your audience clearly, regularly, and with ease? Christine McIver and Carol Glover work with individuals and organizations to create a powerful presence on the web. Personal attention and one-on-one training creates the ease with expanding you. Are you ready? Connect today at beingvisible.ca.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. So tonight, Part 2, Business for Creatives, Weirdos, and Humanoids. So before we went for break, we were talking about actually giving energy to your creative ideas. How many of you have an idea, and the minute you have an idea, you go and judge it? Cute, aren't we? The moment we get an idea, so many of us begin to judge it. And we look outside of ourselves at other people who do that type of work, and we may say things like, that's already been done, I know somebody that's doing that, oh, that's not very original, who would actually hire me, who would actually buy from me, I don't know how to do business, I'm not very good at this. We go into this constant tirade around all of the reasons why it won't work. I get these really funny visuals, and I don't know if this would assist any of you. But I actually, and I was saying this to Sue on the show tonight, I actually get this visual of the universe is like, I don't know, it's like you kind of see these. You remember Casper the Friendly Ghost, how he had like a see-through body? Well, I kind of have a visual of like a man or a kind of a cross between a Casper and the Pillsbury Doughboy and a man, and they're see-through, and they're in the clouds, like heaven, whatever, in the universe, and they're standing there tapping their toes with their hands on their hips or their arms folded, and they're like, seriously, she's been asking for ideas. We give her this brilliant idea. We choose her out of the 7 billion people in the world. And what does she do? She immediately shuts it down. She immediately judges it. oh my God, that girl, right? I get this visual, and it's like, wait a second, there's been a contribution. I've been asking for more, and the minute it shows up, judge it. So how many of you are actually judging your ideas, which is actually sucking the life out of them before they've actually been able to even be conceived? So everything that's brought up, can we destroy and uncreate it all? Woo, that's heavy. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What if you were to be like a child and you were just to be curious about what is being presented to you? It's kind of like a child sitting on the grass and they're pulling grass out of the ground. I used to do that when I was little. And all of a sudden across walks a bug. Well, they don't automatically judge that the entire lawn is covered in bugs. They just go, oh, there's a bug. They're just curious about it. Some of them will eat it. Some of them will scream. Some of them will squish them. Some of them will just play with them. My daughter used to gather them in a jar and bring them home as pets. She didn't have a conclusion around what that meant. I sometimes did. So the chat room is very quiet tonight. I'm wondering what's coming up for everybody. Carol said she used to herd the bugs. That's very cool. So what were you aware of with the bugs, Carol? Or what were you trying to be aware of? So we were talking, first of all, around our ideas and how we're not giving them energy. The second thing is, how about questions? What about when an idea comes? What if you were to start asking questions about it? Not from the energy of expectation or conclusion, but what if you were to start asking questions about it around how it wants to be created, when it wants to be created, what it would like to look like when in its creation, who it desires to contribute to its creation. Something that I've done in the past, I've been in business now for 7 years, and I'm so thrilled that I didn't blow the entire thing up over the first 5 years, because when I started to do Access, I started to receive so much more awareness around how to create a business that I was amazed that I actually lasted as long as I did. But one of the things that I was doing is I was doing it all on my own. It was my brain and me, and that was it. I wasn't asking questions. I wasn't actually asking for other beings to come in to work with me to create my business, to contribute to my business. I wasn't willing to step beyond my comfort zone, which actually kept my business small. So would you be willing to ask your business and ask your ideas, who would contribute to you? Who would you like to contribute to you, without going into an expectation of how you have to get that information? Sometimes what I do is so this is one of the things I do every single night, and I want to encourage you to do this. So I destroy and uncreate my business every night. Destroy and uncreate inspired choices. Destroy and uncreate my relationship to inspired choices. Destroy and uncreate my relationship to A to Z. Destroy and uncreate my book. Destroy and uncreate my relationship to my host. Destroy and uncreate my relationship to my clients. What that is doing is it is actually wiping out any limitations that are connected to any of your creations, your relationships, and it's creating space for more possibilities, more creations that can come in. When I first started doing this, I thought, this is really weird. And I was probably doing it for only a month or two, and my entire business started to shift dynamically. How do you actually word that? Rioa, I'm not positive what you mean. So if you would like to call in and ask that question online, I would appreciate it. Or give me more information in the chat room so I can actually respond. That would be awesome. So destroying and uncreating your business every night, your relationship, your clients, your projects, actually gives them more possibilities and more choices. Then in the morning when you wake up is actually speaking to the business as well. So when I get to my desk. So inspired choices. What would you like to create today? Inspired choices. Who would like to actually contribute to you today? What is the clearing for destroy and uncreate your life? That's it. Destroy and uncreate inspired choices. Destroy and uncreate everything my life was yesterday. Destroy and uncreate my relationship with my daughter. Destroy and uncreate. That's all it is just asking. Remember, the main thing in the universe is ask and you shall receive. That's as simple as it is. Now, when you ask these questions, forget about them. That's one thing that for a humanoid, a creative, is we're often in our heads trying to figure out the right way. And that actually locks us down. So it's kind of a funny thing. We get all of these ideas, and then we're head tripping about it. So, we receive lots and lots of awareness. We get these awarenesses through all sorts of different ways. You can get them dropped into your mind. You can see something on the TV. You can hear something in your ear. You can be out walking and you see something and you get a massive idea. You could be, on social media. You could be reading and you get these ideas, which are phenomenal. The ideas, the awarenesses, they drop in like these amazing petals all over the place. And then our head goes into the figuring it out. Well, what I began to do when I first started working with creating my business in a whole new way is I would write the idea down, I would ask a question, and then I would go and get my mind busy. I would go and do something that would really keep my mind super, super busy so that it would basically forget about the idea that just popped in. I'm just reading what Rioa says. She said, okay, cool, I've heard some very elaborate ones I can never remember for just doing and uncreating. Okay, here's something that Rioa and everybody listening that I want you to get. The tools of access consciousness are so incredibly simple. They are not complicated. They don't need to be complicated in order to be dynamic and work with massive energy. This is not about tricking you. Oftentimes, if you've heard some massive clearings from Gary and Jane, who are the co-founders of Access Consciousness, or some other facilitators, it's because the reason that they often make them so convoluted is so that they can wipe your brain out, because we are always trying to figure it out, and they're trying to get past that thinking brain of yours. That's why they make it complicated. So you can actually begin to, quote-unquote, train your brain to just make another choice. Just make another choice and move on. If you're requiring it to be complicated all of the time, what are you creating in your life? Are you creating ease or are you creating complication? So everywhere that you've bought that everything in your life has to be hard, even clearing your brain of the chaos, can you please destroy it and create all of that times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, all named shorts, boys and beyonds. It's so funny, isn't it? How we desire so much, and yet we make it so absolutely twisted, and we really hold things inside of our heads and inside of our bodies, and we contract, which is not an expansive energy. Another amazing thing to do is when you get a creative idea or you want to have more creative ideas, go out in nature. Speak to the earth. Ask for contribution from the earth. Ask for contribution from the trees, the snow, the sun, the birds, the animals. They are constantly in creation, and they're waiting to contribute to you. So we are going to go for our second break of the night. And when we get back, we're going to be talking more about energy, dating, and your body. So how's it getting better than that? You are listening to Inspired Choices on A2Zen.fm, and we will be back in just a moment.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're far greater than you've ever given yourself credit for? What if it's time to know the gift and the contribution you are to the world and to like yourself a lot more? Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. Asking questions opens doors to infinite possibilities. And it's not about finding the answer. It's about being the question. Always. What I'm inviting you to step into is something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Newton, Da Vinci, Gandhi, Picasso, and Aristotle all knew to be true. What if no question is too big or too small? What if anything is possible for you? What if together we could create a kinder, gentler, happier world? Is now the time? Go to beingyouclass.com and sign up for a free video series, My Gift to You. beingyouclass.com. What if you, truly being you, are the gift and change this world requires? beingyouclass.com.
Being visible, being social, being heard. What desires are you ready to create? Would you like to take the next step to creating a potent presence on the web? Would it create more possibilities and expansion in your life? BeingVisible.ca offers website, social media, radio show creation, and more. Creating with consciousness, bringing the energy of you to your audience. Are you ready to connect with your audience clearly, regularly, and with ease? Christine McIver and Carol Glover work with individuals and organizations to create a powerful presence on the web. Personal attention and one-on-one training creates the ease with expanding you. Are you ready? Connect today at beingvisible.ca.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. So tonight, business for creatives, weirdos, and humanoids. There's so much going on in my head. It's like I don't even know where to begin. Okay, I want to tell you a little bit about what I did this past week. I actually went to two amazing classes with Access Consciousness. Right Body for You is a 2.5-day class that was done in Houston with Danielle Carter, and it was actually live streamed. And as well, Advanced Right Body for You, the very first Advanced Right Body for You with Gary Douglas and Dr. Danielle Carter, both of which were live streamed, both of which you can still order on the Access Consciousness website if you desire it. Well, I'll tell you something. It was so funny. I was on my way to the event, and I was flying there from Toronto, and my phone started to break. It was basically like one thing after the other would not work. Now, it would have been very easy for me to go into massive frustration and massive conclusion and start flipping out because of my business. I use my phone a great deal to communicate with my clients, with my radio show hosts, with the producers, and I could have easily gone into a huge conclusion. No, instead I asked some questions. So what's right about this I'm not getting? I was not going to be bringing my computer into the actual event. So that actually was a challenge for me because as oftentimes I keep myself present by being a little bit busy, if you know what I'm saying. It's like people who doodle. That's one of the ways that they can actually focus. So if you're someone who has OCD or autism or some form of that, whether it's minor or major. These are some of the things that we do. Some people twist their hair. I know Carol, she crochets and knits and makes jewelry. We are often doing other things to keep ourselves present. And so what this actually required of me was for me to be in a different space. And as I was being in a different space with myself, and it was a right body for you, I was more in touch with my body. Well, oh my gosh, we talked about every subject under the sun in these classes. They went so quickly. And for me, a huge part of it was about getting more awareness around creation and around business, and getting in touch with the awareness and the knowledge on how my body, how I created my beautiful body, and everything about my body is here to work with me. We are on this trip together. If you're following me on Facebook, if you're a friend of me on Facebook, you will probably have seen a post that I put up yesterday about dating. And I actually am starting to date my body, paying attention to, nurturing, honoring, taking my body out to do the things that it desires besides doing business and creating. I love creating. I love doing business. And over the last 7 years, I've ignored my body's desires as well. In doing that, I actually cut off the contribution that my body can be to more and more creation and more awarenesses. Your body can actually be pulling in ideas, individuals, money. It can be co-creating with you. Your body is a partner here for you. What if you were to begin partnering with your body in the creation of everything that you desire? Would that be fun for you? You know, as a single mom, I have said for many, many years, I have to do everything on my own. I've got nobody to talk to. I've got to figure out all the things. I've got to come up with the right answers, make the right decisions. And I've had to do this. You know, I've said this for many, many years. And I found out this past week that that's a complete lie. I've never been alone, nor will I ever be alone, because I'm here with my body. And my body is dying to give me more and more awareness. And my body has been very patiently awaiting me. And since stepping into all of these new awarenesses, my body is actually buzzing. One of the questions that I've been asking my body is, body, what are we aware of here? And can you please be really loud so I can hear you? And my body is getting louder and louder because I am, first of all, willing to receive the information. So are you willing to really receive the information of the awareness without going into a conclusion or the figuring it out space that will actually lock you down again? It's a very interesting dance, and please know, no choice is a wrong choice. Choice creates awareness. So as you are choosing, you're going to be learning more and more about what it is that you're creating and what you would like to choose to change. So Rio said that she says, you are talking to a mind tripper of magnitude. I often give my mind the job to go find more questions if I can't get it to shut up. One time I spent an hour saying to myself, interesting point of view, what else is possible, to get my mind to stop tripping. Absolutely, Rioa. That's brilliant. There's another really cool tool with Access Consciousness that can wipe your brain super, super fast, and saying it at least 5 to 10 times. So everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Do you feel how there's more space now? I could feel everyone's energy starting to go into the figuring it out space. And that space can often feel very contracted. That repeating the everything is the opposite 5 to 10 times can start to lighten that up. So Melissa says she knows that one, from crotch tripping to head tripping, though I trip less than I used to. You know, you may still choose to be a head tripper or what, you know, crotch tripper, whatever, you know, romance tripper, whatever kind of tripper you are. You may still do it, and when you acknowledge you're doing it, you can choose again. So would you be willing to acknowledge when you're doing these things and know that you have another choice available to you? Okay, so I wanted to talk about the push and pull and the dating. So if you are desiring to have more in your business and to have your ideas come to fruition, would you be willing to date it? So thank you, Rioa, let's talk to an idea that you have, okay? I actually have some ideas that I am looking at creating. And what I want to do is I want to start looking at how can I date those ideas. So the very first thing that I do is I start to speak to my business. So in the morning I may say, hello, Inspired Choices. Hello, 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 Inspired Choices. Ah, so nice to be with you. So I actually call Inspired Choices up, my business name, and it starts to bring me an energy. And then I start to ask it questions. So what would you like to create today? So if you were going on a date with someone, you might ask them, where would you like to go? What would you like to do? Well, what if you did the same thing with your business? What would you like to create today? Where would you like to create today? Who would you like to create with today? And allow your business to bring you ideas. When an idea pops, kind of like the shiny ball or the squirrel moments where you get pulled over into something else, what if you didn't go into conclusion about it? And you just followed the shiny ball until it was no longer shiny? Would that contribute more? I know that absolutely that has done that for me and my business so many times. It's phenomenal. When Carol Glover and I, my amazing co-producer, when we first did a Play with Possibilities creation, the Playground of Possibilities. No, wait a minute, I'm totally messing up the name of it, but it was a playground event that we put on, and it was about business, and when we first did that, we didn't know what that was going to create, but we were following the energy of it, and we created that event, and we had people attend, and her and I started to learn more about what it is to play and create with the play energy. So how many places do you go into conclusion around, okay, I'm going to create this, and it has to have this result, and if it doesn't have this result, then the conclusion is you've failed. Right? How many of us are doing this every single solitary day? Well, what if, and I mean, Carol and I have spoken about this creation that we did so many times. What if that creation is actually contributing in a different way? Carol and I have learned to ease up. We're both head trippers of magnitude, and we both have tons of ideas all the time, and we were both trying to do it. Now I'm speaking for Carol, but I know that when we were looking at this originally, we were both trying to figure out how it has to be done. And we've both been in different businesses before, and coming from the quote-unquote, right way to do business, we were trying to figure out the right way to do business. And when we actually took off those barriers, we started to... Melita says, really, you guys head trippers? No way. Yep, we're head trippers. We have the hats to prove it. We should actually create those hats, Carol. Recovering head tripper. when we actually started going into just playing with it and having fun with it, when I've got knee pads and everything. Oh, that's so funny. When we started playing with it, it started to build, and it was starting to show us the energy of play and creation, not that event had to become a massive annual event or something that was going to travel all around the world, but that creation started to contribute to something else. So Melitza says, I saw a shiny ball a few weeks ago and asked a question to the energies and then to the person that popped. It has now opened up a possibility for me to expand their life and mine. Yay to following the energy. No kidding, right? If we don't go into conclusion about anything and we're asking questions and looking for who would like to contribute, more possibilities can come in. And if we are not trying to figure out a direct result, a direct line, if Melitza had asked that person, whoever she's speaking to, and it didn't pop for them, it didn't open up a possibility, she could have easily gone into judgment or conclusion around, well, that was nothing. Well, what if it still is something that can go into another direction? Carol says, now I seem so far out of head tripping that sometimes I think it might be helpful to get my brain back in the game. Well, there are times to use your brain when you're running different programs. Maybe you're doing math. Maybe you are, putting together some mechanical item. That certainly your brain can be a huge contribution. It's not something to throw out throw completely away. But really working with the energies and asking questions is huge. Now, once you start doing this, start pulling energy into the creation. What most of us do is we start pushing it. Oh, I have to create this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I know I've talked to Carol about it for at least 2 years. I have a book idea, and I tried pushing it, and it has not been created. It actually the energy started to drop. So now I'm pulling energy into it, and it's starting to feel lighter. It's starting to feel more expansive. So what if you were, oh my God, I just got another energy for it. Woohoo! What if you were to pull energy into your ideas, just like a huge energy ball, and you were to start feeding energy to it from all over the universe for the idea, and allowed that creation to speak to you? What if that could actually beget, I'm really having a fun time talking. What if that creation could actually be created with greater ease than you've ever imagined is possible? Like Dane's ad commercial just said, be the question will create infinite possibilities, not going into the conclusion about it. So one of the greatest questions out there that you've heard 1,000 billion trillion times is, what else is possible? When something is created or something kind of feels like it stops and you ask what else is possible, the universe begins to work with all of the molecules in the world, in the universe, to show you. It so wants to contribute to you, but you keep, drowning your ideas, drowning your business in expectation, conclusion, and judgment. So everywhere that you have judged your business, judged your ideas, or decided that everything is wrong, sucks, it isn't being created the right way, can you please destroy and uncreate all that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pock, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So Danielle Carter did something this week that I absolutely, it's so simple, you guys, and you may know this, but I'm sharing it anyways. It's one of the most simple things I've ever heard, and it's one of the most profound things I've ever heard since I've been in Access. So I wanted to share that tonight for sure on the show, and I'm glad that it was just contributed to me because I didn't have it in my mind to talk about it. Danielle said, every time every single time we do the POC and Pod, we do the clearing statement, every single time we do the POC and Pod, we are forever changed. We're forever changed. That is just amazing to me. It's amazing to me. And the reason it was so profound for me is because when people would ask a question and then they would do a clearing, whether it was Gary and Dane or in a class or listening to a radio show, I'm sure many of you are like me, and I would go, I don't know if that was really applied to me, or like it doesn't really feel like anything's changed, or I would go into judging the hell out of it. Now I'm like a giddy little schoolgirl. Oh my God, I've changed again, and I'm so excited now knowing that every single time new possibilities are being created, every single time. If you are listening to this radio show, you're listening to any radio show that's being created by anyone through Access Consciousness, through Zen, through Voice America, anywhere, and you put those on a loop and you play them even while you're sleeping, you don't have to hear them, and those are continuously looping all night long, do you know the massive change that's actually being created in your world? My entire business, my entire way of being, my body, my relationships, my bank account, every single solitary thing has changed in my life. And it changed even faster when I started pulling energy to me. I started asking the universe to contribute to me. I started asking who would like to work with me, who would be a contribution to my business. I have amazing people in my business, amazing people that want to work with me, people that are desiring to create more with me. And if I hadn't started to ask those questions, I wouldn't have been pulling. So a question can actually be pulling the energy in to your creations when you're asking. Since I have begun to do that, everything has been changing. So would you be willing to date your ideas? Would you be willing to date your business? Would you be willing to ask more questions so you're pulling energy in? And what if you were actually creating from fun? What if you had so much fun in your creations, in your business, that people actually judged that you were doing it wrong? How much fun would that be for you? Can you imagine? People think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And you know what? They're right. I am cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I'm having so much fun. I'm playing, I'm traveling all over the world, and I have never been happier. And now I'm dating my body and I'm dating my business. I have so many more ideas, and this has been such a great night, and I'm just really grateful for everyone who's been contributing to the show, whether now or in the future. I would love to work with you to help you create even more. You can contact me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca to see what else you would like to be created in your life. Melita says sometimes it is a question or an energy that comes up for the future. That's where that app can come in really handy. Absolutely. So a couple of the things that I'm creating in the world is I am creating 2 Right Body for You classes, Right Body for You, touching your body with kindness and joy, and that's going to be on Friday, April the 24th, and Right Body for You, Falling in Love with Your Body, that is going to be on May the 24th. And then Foundation, the second class in Access Consciousness, April the 25th and the 26th, and Level 1, May the 2nd and May the 3rd. These classes are here for you, for your body, for your businesses. How much more would you like to have? I would love to hear from you. Have an amazing week and date your business.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.